there were some indicators of that before, but really Saturday of last week is the first day that that I really started thinking, okay, this may not work long term.
Right.
On Monday, we had a call, myself and the other three, or the three owners, and at the end of that call, we did not make any decisions, but we had put everything out on the table and decided to come back together on Tuesday and make the decision on whether it made sense to continue to work together.
Yeah.
Then on Tuesday, 24 hours later, we came together, and it was clear from that conversation that it was time to part ways.
Yeah.
Um, and so then, we got to work with the team in the Metaverse. We renamed the comedy club. We redesigned the entire interior of the
Wow.
comedy club. We came up with a campaign to communicate the change to the people that have been involved. And we did all of this and launched it Wednesday morning. So,
Oh my
like,
goodness.
the pace that things can move in the metaverse is amazing. I, it's just wild, 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 wild. Welcome to Well Metaverse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrells navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride. Well, Jason, my friend, it is good to see you this morning. We got a lot to talk about, but before we get into that, how are you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man. Doing really good. Man, had an amazing weekend. A not so much comedy weekend, but in 3 days I spoke 4 times, man. And
Whew.
just man, it was really encouraging. I can't tell you how encouraging it was, man. So that stuff is good. Family's doing well. My 2 kids are supposedly coming back from Brazil today. They get
Very
tomorrow.
cool.
They get their COVID test, and if they pass the COVID test, they come back. But I'm assuming that they want to fail because they really like Brazil.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they're not studying that hard for the COVID test, huh?
No, brother. Yeah, yeah. They play the PlayStation. That's funny.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. That's good to hear. I'm glad things are well with you. I will say things are well with me. This has been a wild week, and we'll get into the elephant in the room here in a minute. But um, things are good. It was actually probably Friday of last week, shortly after we talked and recorded the last episode, that
Yeah.
I finally felt able to just unplug just a little bit from the metaverse and
Wow.
re-engage with family and stuff. I've been around family, but in perfect transparency, I have been very, very disengaged. I've been
Yeah.
wholly absorbed in this, and so that's been good. And just having some times to shut that off, not just in reality, but shut it off mentally as well, and
Right.
just engage with my wife and my kids. That's been good. So yeah, things have been good with me. And there's been a lot happening this week. But before we get into the elephant in the room, I just thought I'd give you a quick update on where we're at. So
Yeah.
far, the comedy club. We've had 27,500 total visitors. That's up about 5,000 from when we talked last week. And
Wow.
what's funny is it feels like things have slowed down. like this is the pace that I feel like, hey, I'm finally able to catch my breath a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's still 5,000 new visitors in a week.
Wow.
The comedy club itself is up to 2,063 likes, which is very, very high
Yeah.
relative to other destinations in Horizon Worlds. It's very encouraging. Our what's now called the UA Comedy Club Facebook group, that's exploded in growth. That's up to 650 members,
Yeah.
which that's really cool because um, that is the group of people that have said, I want to engage heavily in what you're doing. That's the group of people that
Right.
are like, I'm on board, I'm involved, let's do this thing, so that is like the core group of people. So that's super cool. um, of course, there's been a lot of things that have happened this past week.
Hmm.
The biggest of which is we went through a renaming of the club. Uh, the the brick and mortar owners, or the owners of the brick and mortar gutties, great people, but we came to a mutual decision that it was time to part ways, and in that uh, we we engaged in a monumental feat of rebranding, rebuilding, redirecting in a matter of days. In honesty, there were tensions and indicators that maybe the partnership, or maybe the working together wasn't going to work out. There were some indicators of that before, but really Saturday of last week is the first day um, that I really started thinking, okay, this may not work long term.
Right.
On Monday, we had a call, myself and the three owners. And at the end of that call, we did not make any decisions, but we had put everything out on the table and decided to come back together on Tuesday and make the decision on whether it made sense to continue to work together.
Yeah.
Then on Tuesday, 24 hours later, we came together, and it was clear from that conversation that it was time to part ways.
Yeah.
Um, and so then, we got to work with the team in the Metaverse. We renamed the comedy club. We redesigned the entire interior of the
Wow.
comedy club. We came up with a campaign to communicate the change to the people that have been involved. And we did all of this and launched it Wednesday morning. So,
Oh my
like,
goodness.
the pace that things can move in the metaverse is amazing. I, it's just wild, 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 wild. I mean, can you imagine like a brick and mortar operation, that has tens of thousands of people that are aware of it, and literally, well over 1,000 that are heavily engaged in it,
Yeah.
and to be able to turn that over, it's something very special about the metaverse, man.
Dude, I was shocked when I saw the turnaround. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" We like the crew came in and painted, rearranged some stuff. I'm like, "My goodness!"
Well, and
Whoever is
I
the
gotta throw I
business
gotta throw
manager,
a quick shout out to two people in particular. Solaris 30 is her code name in
okay,
Horizon Worlds, and Random Man. These two jumped in there with me, and were just all in immediately. And
wow,
like, I mean, it was a substantial amount of time and work to get that done,
yeah,
and like, it just clicked. It was so awesome to experience this,
that's good,
like,
man.
just
That's
coming
big.
together and making it happen.
That's so good, bro. It was good for you just because I can imagine the the weight is a good word. Just the weight of just having to work through, having the weight of just parting ways and all that can, bring, whether good or bad tension, just whenever there's a split, dude, that thing just kind of weighs on you. Did we sever the right way? Is everything handled? Now how we gonna do this? I can imagine just to have some people to come on their back end and say, "Hey, we all in, baby."
Oh,
That's got to be a
yeah.
blessing, bro. But
Huge,
and that's to
huge blessing.
contribute to. There's this saying when it's talking about love. It says, "Give and it shall be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over." You know,
Hmm.
and and it's talking about love. That's really what that passage is talking about. And man, you've given love. You've been a shepherd, and so when you give, that oftentimes it'll be given back to you. So
You know, that's really the core of it. Like, I feel like as we've been building this out and developing it,
yeah,
the the core thing that has just been central for me is that this is about the people that are there. You know,
right,
and I've tried to, yeah, I mean, even though it's now named UA's Comedy Club, which is, you know, my brand and all that, like, even though it's now named that, like, it's not about me, it's about the people in there. And I've tried to make it that. And what I'm finding is the people that are engaging with that, they want to make it about other people. You know, the
yeah,
people that are engaging are exactly what you're saying. What's like the what's drawing them in is what's also propelling them forward, and
right.
it's
Yeah, I
I
thought
do have
I thought
goosebumps
UA
right
stood
now.
for I thought UA stood for United Artists. I'm just playing.
Yeah, United Airlines. Oh, what
Yeah,
did man? I heard one. Oh, that this guy. Oh man, I forget what it was now, but it was like it was yeah, never mind. Maybe I'll this might be one of the first edits that we've done in the podcast so far. Like, pretty much as I've edited these, like, everything has been just made the final cut, you know. But
yeah.
that was the first, like, stumble, and maybe I'll just leave
Well,
it in. You know, that's
maybe
maybe we just keep it
absolutely.
real.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, man. So
Yeah.
you had a show that made you cry.
Oh man. So Saturday morning, ended up scrambling to rework the way this show was going to happen,
Yeah,
because the plan was we were going to bring in a touring headliner, and Saturday morning it was clear that that wasn't going to happen.
yeah,
So we had to revamp the plan for the show,
right.
and there was this gal who goes by Make a Wish Mom, and I had bumped into her throughout the week, and she was telling some jokes, and she's a cremation specialist. She sells cremation services, and so her jokes were so deliciously dark, uh,
Yeah,
but clean, you know.
right.
And I just loved it. And then when we started talking, the reason she's Make a Wish Mom is because tragically she lost her child 21 years ago, and that has readjusted her path in life. She's ended up um, finding mission, finding purpose in helping the Make a Wish organization. She's raised almost $500,000 for them,
Wow.
and done all this stuff. But so we scrambled, pulled this show together, and she headlined it and closed it. She's not a comedian, dude. She's
Yeah.
she sells cremation services, you know, and she
Wow.
got up and just brought it home. And then there was this very sweet moment after, you know, at the end of the show where she's talking to the people, and she says, "Listen, you know, we're people in here." You know, and it was so touching and so moving, and so encapsulating of what the dynamics of being in the metaverse is. It's not cartoons. It's not
Yeah,
pretend. It's real interaction. And that's
absolutely.
what we've been talking about this whole time, man.
Yeah, that's why, dude. That's why I was interested, man. Remember, man, it was that one guy. The girl walked up and she like, raise your hand if you're single. All of us around talking, and her avatar walked up, yeah, everybody, and she said, raise your hand if you're single, and all of us was looking around like, you got the
Nope.
wrong group. Sis."
That's right. That's right.
And then that one dude said, "Hey, I'm married, but shoot, this the metaverse. I'm single." I like, dude, don't do it. Don't do it.
Dude,
This is
yeah. Danger, danger. Yeah.
your mind and your emotions are still the same. They still work. That ain't no avatar.
It's right. It's right. I mean, our brains are so powerful that it just translates. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
I yeah.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
And that's the well, not the danger. It's just you need to be aware of it. It's the richness and the wealth of the metaverse, but also the danger. It's like you can easily drop your guards down on, well, some can easily drop their guards down and don't think about just the human element, and that thing can snatch you up, bro.
For sure, for sure. And
Yeah,
that's part of the reason why, like, the what's now UA's comedy club, this thing, it's clean comedy, but what I'm really working with the team on now is having grace, because people are coming into this new experience and they don't necessarily get it or grasp that people are real, and that it's not some anonymous pretend thing. And
yeah,
so we've had people that have, in some cases, blatantly and intentionally violated the house rules and gotten profane and out of line.
yeah,
And if they, yeah, and I don't want to make this overly dramatic, but if they repent, if they say, "Hey, you know what? I was out of line. I want to come back and do it right," man, they are welcome. And in
yeah,
fact, like yeah, and even like if things start to go off the rails a bit, like we're really working to have that touch with people that we don't slam the hammer down and jump up and ridicule them publicly.
yeah,
We show appreciation for who they are and the fact that they're getting up on stage and doing their thing, and then try to work with them and bring them into the mindset of what we're trying to do in the room, and which in reality is just making it a safe place to laugh.
right. Yeah, I saw and I don't know if this is the place to talk about it, but I saw in the metaverse and in the Facebook group that one guy had felt like another dude had set him up and lied on him to get him banded and kicked out the group, kicked out the club.
So
And
no, I know
yeah,
what you're talking about, and like it's really weird because like people think that our moderators have way more power than they actually do.
yeah,
Like the moderators within the comedy club, within UA's comedy club, can remove people from the room.
yeah,
They can also, and not just them, but anybody in the room or anybody in any room can file a complaint with Meta if somebody's acting out of line.
yeah,
So our moderators can remove people from the room. But what's happening is the people that are getting removed from the room, people are also filing complaints with them, and their headsets are getting banned and locked up and all this stuff. So people are like, don't mess with the UA's comedy club. They'll kick you
right,
off of Horizons altogether. And it's like, okay, listen, it's not us doing that.
right.
It's humans that work for Meta, for Horizon, that are reviewing the video and seeing exact actions that undeniably violate their code of conduct, and then they're removing you.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
I guess I don't really mind it though that people are a little bit
That,
intimidated, like.
that the new metaverse is snitches get glitches.
That's great. That's great. You ever thought about comedy?
Yeah.
Man.
That's funny.
Oh, hey, by the way, I probably should have asked you about this before I did it, but I posted your name in the club. Uh, I
Oh,
put up a thank you to a handful of people that have been real involved,
yeah.
and I put you up in regards to creative strategy. It's just a thank you. So if,
Oh,
if that's an
appreciate that,
issue,
man.
let me know. I decided I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission. So your name's up there. If you
Absolutely.
want it down, let me know. But you're so much a part of this thing, man.
Oh man, I
You're
appreciate it, brother.
yeah.
I appreciate it. Absolutely. My name is on the metaverse. What? I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh yeah.
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, Matt, so how has it? So, I was talking to my family, just briefly about it. Sunday was my son's 12th birthday, my youngest son's 12th birthday.
Happy
And so
birthday
we
to
went
him.
out, we celebrated him Sunday after excruciating 3 days of speaking, and we're talking about the metaverse, and so you've seen how I interact with my kids and
Yeah.
how I set my kids up to really like they're set up to speak into my life, and so my
Hold on,
kids
hold on,
ask me,
hold on. I got to take a minute on what you just said there, because that is a mind shift from traditional. You just said that your kids are set up to speak into your life.
yeah, absolutely,
Man, that right there is very, very special. To
yeah,
allow your kids to speak into your life, to not just be in the traditional parenting mode where you got to train them up and send them off, but
yeah.
you are giving them permission and leeway to speak into your life as well. That's sorry to derail you, but man, that right
No,
there, I just had to
but
comment on
but,
that.
but why not? If you think about kids, think about when you were a kid. You observed things about your parents oftentimes that they didn't even know that they were doing. You observed behavior patterns about your parents that they didn't know they had these patterns. They were unaware of it because it was unconsciously. So kids are very insightful, man. And so if I want anybody speaking into my life, I
Yeah,
want my kids, man.
yeah,
My
yeah.
my 16-year-old daughter just she was like, "Dad, how your YouTube videos doing?" And I was like, "Well," I said, "I'm adjusting my strategy." She was like, "Yeah, I think you should." And
Uh,
I also think, Dad, that you do a little bit of overkill when you're talking.
okay.
And I was like, "You're exactly right." As
Yeah,
I've made this shift in the way that I like my personality on stage, just not being on 10 all the time, and typically on a video, I come in, "Yo, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?"
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
my daughter's like, "Dad, that can
yeah,
be irritating after a while." Like, you're exactly right. I've already made
yeah.
that note.
Wow.
So I want my kids to be able to speak to me, and not just because they're humans who have this cognitive ability to observe their parents all the time, but in addition to like, so I'm a Christian, and my kids are Christians as well. So in the Christian faith, when other Christians, we're actually siblings and we need
Mhm.
each other. And
Mm,
so there's this idea that I want to make sure that my kids understand, like, you have your place as a child, but
yeah,
also as a Christ believing Christian, you also have this place in the body of Christ that you have value in addition to your position in the family. And since you have God inside of you, you can see and discern and think some things that I need.
yeah.
So there's a way to communicate that to your parent oftentimes, but I need y'all. They care. If anybody wants me to be successful, even more than my parents, is them selfish teenagers because they want to. Like,
That's
my new iPhone upgrade,
yeah,
my
that's right.
tuition, all that stuff is
Yeah,
including my
yeah.
dad's. My daughter and I were talking about earworms. I was driving her to school, and she was like, "Oh man, that song's gonna be stuck in my head." And then she said, "You know what's the worst song to get stuck in my head?" I was like, "What?" I've been Googling. I don't know if anybody's heard I've been
I
Googling.
I I haven't, but I feel like I'm never gonna unhear it.
It's on iTunes, it's on all your digital platforms. But it's a song that I made about a guy
Oh,
looking
okay.
for his girl. And she said, "Yeah, I just when my friends sing that, I'm like, ah." And I was like,
I'm
"Wait a
gonna
minute."
I'm gonna check it out. Maybe I can cut it into the podcast right here.
Yeah, dude. So I told her, like, you should love when your friends hear that. Like, that means that my viewership and my streams are going up. You should
Yeah,
be telling
that's
them
right.
to listen to it. But anyway,
Yeah.
man, so I want my kids to be able to shoot me straight, And I never want them to do like I've had to do. Like even to this day, and I don't know what the relationship, how this particular instance was with your dad before he passed, but man, like I gotta work myself up to point out some adjustments that my dad needs to make. Like I gotta think long and hard. Like, okay, what's my strategy? Okay, I need to tell my dad this. How am I gonna communicate that to him? What's the best way? And I just got to do all this mental work before I talk to him. And I don't want my kids having to do that mental work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have to do that mental work, or did y'all had a different relationship?
So, I mean, it depends on what time frame in my life you're talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, when I was a teenager, I should have done some of that mental work, and did not. uh, as a young adult, I'd say yes, I definitely had to do that mental work, and towards the end of his life, like actually about 6 months before he passed, like we had a really cool moment where he actually invited me over and asked my mom to leave us alone. And we just talked through, and he actually kind of made amends and apologized for some things, like the way that he approached me in certain areas as a kid
yeah.
growing up. So then it was almost, he did that preparation and that work. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Yeah. So my kids, I was like, man, what if I start getting into the like spending a whole lot more time in the metaverse? And my 14-year-old son, ladies and gentlemen, I said 14-year-old son, he said, I wonder what your time is going to be like. I wonder how much
Okay.
time will you spend? Like if you start getting more, getting into the metaverse more, yeah, how much time? Because
Yeah.
it seemed like you can spend a lot of time in that metaverse.
You
And
can.
the-
You can. And
and
it's so when I mentioned earlier that on Friday, I started to unplug a little bit.
yeah,
Again, it has been all encompassing for me. And
right.
that's okay for a season, but it
Yeah,
can't be that. And I'll tell you
right.
the reason why I was I did that. The reason why I took that action is because my son approached me and he said, "Dad, I haven't had any specific conversations with Chelsea and Andrea, but I'm noticing that they're feeling a little bit outside of your bubble. When they come in and they talk to you, you're not there. You're
Mm,
disengaged. And I'm concerned that it could potentially damage relationships. I don't think it's at the point yet where it's damaged relationships, but I'm concerned that it could get there." And I'm like, uh, I mean, it's exactly what
how
we were
old is
just
he?
talking about.
How old is he?
What is he, 24ish, 25ish, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
he's beyond his years and wisdom,
Wow.
like, and he's been like that since he was a young kid. Like he has had a gift to be able to understand relationship dynamics. and
Yeah.
and like he from a young kid, he was like, okay, who's this ant person, and what's the relationship, and how does everything fit together?
Yeah.
He's been like that. But I mean, that's what happened. Like,
Yeah.
talk to him, and he threw it out there. He spoke into my life,
Yeah.
and said, hey, just and also from the standpoint of recovery, he threw that in there.
Yeah.
He said, if if this comes if this becomes too much, it could impact your sobriety and your recovery. And it's a good point.
Wow.
It's gotta stay in its place. So,
Dude, isn't it, man? Dude, insightful children are a gift from God, bro. All children are a gift from God.
amen. Almost.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, it's just like when you have children who speak up about things that they see, man, that and that's the beauty of, man, either having children who are who just do that instinctively, or you're conditioning your children to do that. It's because reality is truth regardless of the deliverer of it.
Yeah,
And man, we
yeah,
got and sometimes our pride will cause us to reject that particular truth or principle that a person brings. And my,
yeah.
my wife said this. She was like, she said, I look at your how you enjoy watching TikTok and Instagram videos or posts and just scrolling through. And she's like, man, I wonder what does that look like? Because that's actually that's underscored, or it even expands when you going through, when you get involved in the metaverse. Like, great dude, you should have a UA's um mug like that, dude. That water mug. Yeah, everybody, he's drinking. He has a huge water jug of water. It's actually um it's the unemployed alcoholic water jug, formerly known
So,
as I have one of those. I have one of those. Now all I do is drink water out of it. And people
so
are like, "You got a beer mug?" I'm like, "Where's my water
here's a
mug?"
funny thing. Let's see if I can hold it up, and you can see. It says Aaron, and it's number 290.
Yeah,
Where this came from, where this mug came from, is when my wife and I first moved down to Grand Rapids. I was an active and heavily practicing alcoholic,
yeah.
and in the building we moved into, there was a bar in the condo complex, and they had a mug club, so you could go in and this was actually the mug that I had in there. And
Oh,
then
nice.
they later went out of business and changed ownership, and they gave me this mug. So this is one of my this is one of the things that came out of heavily drinking, and now I'm heavily drinking water out of
Now it's
it.
got a sanctified purpose.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Cool
Yeah,
beans.
this has been a wild ride, but talking about you and getting in plugged into the metaverse, or anybody for that matter that might be listening to this, you know, safeguards and boundaries are very, very important. In fact, I've talked about that to the people that are on the UA team that are in UA's comedy club, that I don't know in a relationship outside of the metaverse, but there's a risk, there's a danger of getting overly absorbed and plugged in. So the people that are in there working, I've tried to encourage people to, take breaks, take time
Right,
away, because it can go from healthy and enjoyable to unhealthy and controlling
right.
very quickly and easily.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's what I was thinking, and that's what I told my family. Was like, you know what? Because I recognize it, and because it's coming to you through you all. I said I'm already like readjusting like my time schedule and like being aware of how much time I devote to anything. And it's funny, man. The more you get locked in into your purpose and what you're called to do, what you begin to, and especially strategize about what you're supposed to be doing and what you're called to do, what your purpose to do. You become aware of your time a little bit more, and that's the like stewarding my time, of managing my time well. It's like if I was a this is weird, but in my mind, when I think of management or the word stewardship, I instantly think of my first really good job, and that's fast
Uh-huh.
food restaurant. And so whenever I ask myself how I'm managing anything, I say, okay, if my time was a fast food restaurant, what kind of manager would I be? I don't. Did you ever
Okay.
work fast food?
Oh yeah, A and W
Yeah,
restaurants. I was. I was a lead cook for a while.
Nice. You seem like a lead cook dude. Hey, Aaron,
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on that cheeseburger, man.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I chucked a
What do you
couple
think I
tater
did at the
tots
what do you
out
think
into
I
the
did at the fast food?
man, I would put you boy, you know, I could see you greeting and being out front, but I
Yeah,
could also see you running the back of the house too, you know?
yeah.
What'd you do?
Dude, I was straight cashier, bro, and I was always
Alright, alright.
interacting with people like, "Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
welcome to Hardy Drive-Thru. Would you like to try fried chicken tonight?" Like, "Oh, what
There
about
there
that?" Yeah, I loved it, and I
Nice.
learned so much watching my my fellow employees, and just the staff and the managers, employers, and just the different types of management skills and how that affected the employees. Uh and so that's why I often go to like, what kind of fast food manager am I? Because if like you had Bridget was cool, dude, but she was so freaking strict. My goodness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
man, stuff was gonna be right when Bridget worked, and she was
Uh-huh.
gonna have fun, but she was gonna make sure the standards were met. And then
Yeah.
you had other managers, man, who the ones that would teach you how to do wrong and how to treat employees wrong. I mean, rude guests. Like, no,
Yeah.
don't get mad. I'm gonna show you what to do with them. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing?
Yeah, yeah,
And the ones that
yeah,
when you knew if you worked the shift after them, you're gonna have to do a lot of cleanup because
yeah,
they didn't
yeah,
necessarily follow the standards.
yeah, yeah.
So
Let me ask you this. I'm hearing what you're saying here as far as managing time and involvement in the metaverse. You know what? Where are you at with that? Are you still thinking that this time that we spend doing this video cast and with the creative strategy is still a good and valuable part use of your time? Are you thinking where you at?
absolutely, bro. I like, dude, you have no idea the stuff that I'm strategizing when we're not talking. Like, and especially with
What?
the change, with the change that's happened now. It's like I'm still like, man, I, the whole that leadership deal that we talked about,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and I just been thinking like how that impacts other areas of life. So it becomes like that can turn into some corporate training. It's You got these comedy club leaders in the metaverse, and this is what they do. Like, dude, the business and leadership model that can be established there,
Oh yeah.
and then even just making sure that, like, man, what does it look like to? I came up with this term. We erased it off my board,
Uh,
but the phrase is relationship equity. Like,
ooh. Oh.
I realize I'm a
Whoa.
relationship equity specialist, and I help people specialize and manage relationship equity.
I man, that term that term is spot on, and it's a catalyst for a concept that I've never been able to wrap my mind around. That relationship equity. Yeah, that's wow, that's sorry to but man,
No,
that's
dude, that's
but
but
write
dude,
that back on your whiteboard because that's and don't lose that.
yeah, man. But that's what I specialize in. Like, I love helping people, like setting people up. How do I say this? We make decisions based off of relationships more than any other thing.
Mm,
Like, I'm spent because of my relationship with you,
mhm.
is why I look forward to this time. That's why I'm like, dude, we gonna always do, as long as we can
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this, we would do it, man, because of the relationship equity that and the exchange that you have with me that I have with you. That's what, dude, in the metaverse, this is you in relationship equity.
Is that making it rain relationship equity?
You like that dude is the Elon Musk of relationship equity in the metaverse. Just watching you how you do that stuff, man. Like, dude, that dude is one of the wealthiest people in the metaverse, man.
And where that comes from, um, is the fact that the people that are around me are so valuable. The people around me are so special, they're so uniquely talented,
Right.
they're incredible, um, and all I'm doing is recognizing that and appreciating that, so yeah, it's
Yeah, if you're trying to receive relationship equity, understand that you are in the rat race. But if you are a giver and an investor in relationship equity, you're always giving it out. You're not in that rat race, man. You're in the 1%.
yeah, yeah,
You
it's
know, like
wow,
how can I help you and not want anything in return?
right, right.
You know, that's I got that from you. I like, man, this dude just in some kind ways, you made some deposits in me in the metaverse. And I felt validated. I felt like, man, I wasn't crazy with my ideas of the metaverse. And that's when I need to spend some more time with this dude. Like clearly. And
Well, I mean, they were the genuineness is the important part there. You know, as we were, you know, that time that we were hanging out in the metaverse and talking, the things that you were talking about, they were exceptional. You know, who you are in the metaverse is exceptional. So
mm,
it's just so easy to just take a moment and appreciate that and acknowledge and honor that. Um, yeah, it's just the way, you know.
absolutely. And that's the thing that I think that is the greatest resource in the metaverse is that relational investment affirmation exchange in the metaverse. To me, that is the gold in the metaverse. How can you make this world a better place, or the person with those goggles on, how can you impact that person and invest in that person? Like
Yeah.
that's me. I'm like, yo,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's and for
I got
anybody
goosebumps
looking,
again, man. What
right?
you keep giving me goosebumps.
And that's to everybody listening. You got to understand that, man. The most valuable resource in that metaverse is not what you how you can capitalize on something or even get your comedy skills up. That works and that's valuable.
Yeah.
That has value to it. But man, if you become a better comedian in the metaverse, but become even more horrible in relationships, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. But if through coming to UA's comedy club and sharpening your comedy skills, you learn how to invest in people, you're able to become a better leader, which is
Mm.
why we have the leadership certification or whatever you want to
That's
call
right. That's
it. like
by the way, I recorded the first video in the leadership series, and
let's
I had it
go.
slated for Wednesday, but I mean, I had to pull it because you know there's only so many things you can communicate at a
Right.
time, and
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. But I, Saturday morning. I wrote up the script and then we recorded it Saturday night before the show, but and
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I'm gonna knock this to do out, and but again, I had to pull it because it's
Yeah. It's like, man, like the theme is almost, I think of Buzz Lightyear. And like in this metaverse, like he's got to infinity and beyond. Like
yeah,
we want to make you a leader and help you sharpen your leadership school skills to infinity and beyond. It's like not
absolutely,
just in the
yeah,
metaverse, but beyond the metaverse.
yeah, yeah, and and that's what's happening here. Like the people that are coming in, these people are phenomenal leaders. They may not have, or some of them. may not have all of the skills in place quite yet, but the heart is there. Because again,
Absolutely.
it's that relationship equity that you're talking about. It's the fact that the people that are being drawn in here are drawn in here to make it about other people, and
Yeah.
they're trying to pour into other people. So it's, and I mean, if you got that, if you got that, if people are going to come in and be respected and appreciated and honored, then man, I mean, it's just like there's no stopping it if you got that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. That's good, man. Yeah, man, I really been basking in that, man. It's just like, man, to be able to show up and people that we've known going through the certification, just like,
Mm.
and encourage them on it. Like, yo, I see you. Like,
Yeah,
get it done.
right,
Um,
right.
so good, man. I can see people in people's offices in their on their jobs, man, having a metaverse leadership certification
Oof.
certificate in their
Yeah,
stuff, man.
yeah.
Just
That's
yeah, dude, that's
that's
impact,
gonna
man.
happen. That's, I mean, that's gonna happen. That
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
yeah. On a smaller scale, like the technical way that that's working is, we've got our Facebook group, which is
Yeah,
the core group of people that have said, hey, I want to engage, and they've answered questions to join the group saying,
right.
I'm on board with this and this, and I'm going to do what I can to carry this forward.
Yeah,
And then we go through and we check out their Facebook page and make sure that they're actual real people
right.
and all that. I told that to somebody, and they're like, "Oh wait, you're going to look at my Facebook page?" I'm like, "Hey, if you're applying with your Facebook page, we want to see who it is."
Absolutely.
So we're doing that, but then there's the group of tech workers, and those are the people that have really control of the room. I mean,
Yeah,
ultimately the room has control of the room, but they're the people that can support the room and
right.
take corrective actions if need be. And that's the group that I mean, you and I have talked a bit about that group, to bring them up and empower them to handle things in a transparent and appropriate way.
Right.
We're working on that. It's funny because the technical abilities of like the scripting in the room, the like who can touch what and go where, and like all of the
Yeah,
programming that's involved, like that, we're a little bit behind in that from being able to bring more people in to the tech group, but that's
yeah,
okay because we need time with the core tech group that's in there now to just like everything doesn't have to happen in 5-second increments.
right.
We can just marinate for a minute and wait for the scripting to catch up, and then once the scripting catches up, then we can bring more people in with a live orientation and talk it
Yeah,
through, and then and all right, I got to tell you this because this is this is just too cool on how we're going to do this, and it all ties into the leadership thing. So my friend John McClay, who you've heard me mention his name before, this dude, I mean, he's a master artist and a master builder and a master programmer, and he's a core part of this
yeah,
Inspire Create Labs that I've worked with. Well, he's got worlds with some really cool swords in them, and in order to bestow the powers of the tech booth onto people, I needed some object that I could literally tap their avatar with,
yeah.
and then they'll be on the list.
Right.
So he's designed me a sword that's going to be backstage, and when we bring new people in, I
Yeah.
can tap them with the sword, and then they're on the team. And I'm like, maybe
Oh,
I'm a
that's so
nerd,
good.
and if so, so be it. But that just seems super fun and cool to me.
Absolutely, brother. I love it, bro. I absolutely love it. Like, have you been tapped by the sword? Why not?
Yeah,
That's another
yeah.
button. I've been tapped. Yeah.
I've been tapped. Yep.
That's a lot better than
Uh,
being poked. I tell you that. That's always an argument.
right. Well, there is another functionality to it. So
Yeah.
there's 3 buttons we can use, and one of the buttons will put people on the list to be able to go to tech. One of the buttons will put people on the list to be able to be on stage at any time for host services,
Yeah.
and then And then the third button, and by the way, I'll be the only person that can use this sword. The third button will put somebody in a permanent bandbox. So anytime they come into the club, they're going to be teleported away and
Oh, that's
immediately leave. So if somebody's like really getting obnoxious, I'll be able to grab that sword and just
the rod of correction.
that's, that's I don't know why I get so much joy out of that, but I do.
That's so good. Cool beans, man. Dude, this stuff every waking moment, man. I always leave this conversation just encouraged by what you're doing, bro. Like, man, you being diligent at it, and that dude is just, you know, I know this probably has no merit, dude, but I like, dude, I'm sure enough proud of you, bro. You killing it, dude. You are killing it. And then
No merit. What are you talking about, man? That has incredible merit. That I mean that just that I mean that just it warms my soul
but
to hear
here's
that.
what deepens you killing it. The fact that your son said what you said and you made them adjustments for your family. Like we can say all we want to, but what profit is it for you to kill it in the metaverse but have a horrible family dynamic?
You're right, man.
Man, and that's
It's
the beauty of it is like here's a guy to everybody's listening. Here's a guy who's the brainchild behind one of the most popular rooms in the metaverse, and he's prioritizing his family, making adjustments. Not saying that I, or you, anybody listening is perfect or watching, you're perfect. But what the beauty of us being human beings and this thing called grace from this man named Jesus is, man, like we're not perfect, but when we get off, we're able to make the adjustments because we have his rod and his sword correcting us.
man,
We got to
your
keep.
wisdom, your grace, your approach is incredible, and this is so encouraging. Every time I get off this call, too, I'm just rip raring, ready to go, and it's one of the highlights of my week for sure. Um, that, thank
Yeah,
you for
it's
those
funny, man.
words.
Dude, I was gonna call you Wednesday, and I was like, nah, I just wait till we talk on it's like
Right, 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 right.
I would have talked to you so bad. I was like, no, I think the conversation might be better on Friday if I just waited. And I forgot what it said.
I agree. I agree with you,
Yeah,
man, and I think it's good. And you had sent me a text, and you were like, because you know, like we didn't really talk about it.
right.
Like I think we touched base once, but we didn't really talk about what was happening.
Yeah,
And you were like, man, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. And I'm
yeah.
like, dude, you were there for me. You were there for me.
No
We
doubt.
might not have been physically in the same area. We
Yeah,
might not have even been talking or texting, but I felt you there.
yeah.
You were there for me. And it's like we don't have to, like, if we're aligned, you know.
No doubt.
Um so yeah, I felt your presence and calming spirit during that time. It was
Yeah.
you were there.
But one thing I recognized after I saw your video, I asked myself, and this is what I do. Did I invest enough relationship equity in him? Looking back, like, man, did I give him all that he needed? Like, how I wonder, looking at the video, like, man, how's he doing? You know, and that's why I text like, man, how you doing, man? I'm sorry I wasn't, because if you're not all right, and I could have helped soften some of this, or lighten the load for you, like, man, did I not do that? Did I do it? And so that's why.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
in that video, like I think it's important to um to be honest and genuine in communicating emotion.
Indeed.
That's an unusual stance. So most people, if they publish a video or something, they want it to all be, I'm totally in control.
Yeah.
I'm you know, everything's going great. And that wasn't where I was during that time.
Right.
Everything was absolutely not under control.
Yeah.
And it was a difficult thing and scary. Like, man, what if this thing crumbles, you know?
Right.
uh, and And so it was a, but I wanted to communicate that, I didn't want to
Yeah.
hide that. I didn't want to say that, everything's great. It wasn't. So, but when people see that, they get really concerned,
Right.
and it's like, man, I appreciate the concern, but just because something's a struggle doesn't mean I'm not okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
And it's not like people should have done more, or this, that's not it at all. I'm just being transparent on, hey, this is where I'm at.
Which is golden. That transparency is golden, bro. And I think that's why more people need to jump on board with all that you got going. To
Amen.
infinity.
No.
I don't know what is the word, man. I can't say it to infinity and beyond. To the
Well,
metaverse.
somebody in the comedy club, in UA's comedy club, came up the other day, and they're like, "Man, your avatar kind of looks like Mark Zuckerberg." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not Mark Zuckerberg. There's some big differences.
It does.
Like, yeah, like especially like the bank accounts thing. Like, there's
Yeah.
some differences there."
That's
And
right.
they're like, "Oh wait, no, never mind. It's not Mark Zuckerberg. You look like Woody from Toy Story." So, so maybe it's not to infinity and beyond. Maybe it's
Yeah.
one of his catchphrases.
Yeah. To the metaverse and beyond.
Yeah, yeah.
Too funny, man.
Well, this has been so good to chat with you. I look forward to seeing what is going to happen between now and next week, because
Dude, dude. A week is like 5 years in the metaverse, man.
it really is. I was looking back, and this whole thing. I mean, it's been like 7 weeks. Like, I mean, it's only been like 4 weeks since we've been talking, but like the whole thing, it's been like 7 weeks, and it
Wow.
it feels like. I mean, it feels like so much longer than that, in a good way, but
Wow.
every like the pace that things happen,
Yeah.
it's I've never experienced anything like it. And that's good, and that's it's wild.
My goodness. So good. Jeez. 7 weeks. That's mind blowing.
Yeah, yeah.
But that
All
shows you
right.
the rapid pace, and the rapid growth of the metaverse, which is why people now. I'm noticing that all of a sudden churches are starting to try to meet and have conferences on the metaverse.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, cool beans.
yeah. It's a good platform, and it's gonna be the future, for
Yeah,
all the reasons that we've talked about, and the people, like, in some ways people feel like they've missed it, but it's not. Like, it's so small right this minute,
right.
and the explosive growth, like, that hasn't happened yet. I mean,
Yeah,
like, Meta, like, they've barely feathered the gas pedal. Like, I mean, they have just barely touched it, and it's growing. But there'll come a point where they put it to the floor, and it's going to change everything. Like today, I don't know if you've been watching Meta stock, but it is plummeted.
yes, I saw that, bro.
Yeah, it has, which is baffling to me, because you know, Mark came out. I'll call him Mark now, because
Yeah, because y'all are friends.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Full disclosure, we've never met, but but like, he came out and he said, "Hey, I'm spending $10 billion a year on this new platform. That our goal is to bring 1 billion new users into it, but it's going to take some time to build this all out." And then the profit reports come out, and they're like, "Man, you're like $1 billion short, or like $10 billion short. What's
Right.
going on?" And people, I think, from an investment standpoint, people are so yesterday focused and right this minute focused,
Yeah.
that I think they're missing what is incredible latent value, or potential value, that will at some point flip the switch, and it'll be like, "Oh, that's where the value is."
Right.
it's wild. But by the way, of course, we are not engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other professional advice. So
Not at all.
people can go do their own thing. I'm
Right.
not saying buy, not saying sell, but to me, it seems like this like what I saw somebody describe as the largest loss of value for any company in any point in time
I
throughout
saw that
history.
too. Yep, I
Yeah,
saw the
yeah,
same
it's
thing.
yeah. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, what a sale,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you got just a minute to be patient with it, it's on sale big time.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, man, this has been so great to chat with you again. And again, I look forward to reconnecting next Friday morning as we review what's happened over the
Yes,
last
sir.
7 years. I mean, 7 days.
Too funny.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.